I am just a simple man, trying hard to understand. Where's my place in your great plan? Oh Lord, help this man, Lord.
Bismillah wa salatu wa salamu ala Rasulillah. Dear brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome to a new episode of Contemporary Fiqh Issues. We have with us again our special guest, Sheikh Asim bin Luqman al-Hakim. Sheikh Asim, welcome. Sheikh Asim is one of the well-known da'is and callers in the West. He travels extensively to many countries around the world delivering lectures, and he is the Imam and a Khatib of a masjid in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia, and he has been in such position for the last 21 years. Sheikh Asim, last time when we were discussing on the show, we were discussing the term fiqh al-nawazil or al-nawazil fiqhiyya, or contemporary fiqh issues, and what this means to Muslims, and how the scholars derive rulings for this issue. We also discussed looking at it from an overall point of view, and we were briefly getting into the issue of how to categorize the contemporary fiqh issues. If you could elaborate, please.
Okay, we mentioned that we have to, first of all, visualize an incident in order for us to be able to understand it. So if there is something that's contemporary, a physician would be the best person to explain it to a scholar in order for the scholar to be able to know what ruling to give. Yet this physician would not be suitable to give the verdict, whether it's permissible or not permissible, because he's not equipped with the Islamic knowledge and tools of science. Likewise, if we want to talk about finance transactions, a person from the finance world would be the most suitable person to explain and elaborate on how things are going to a scholar of religion. Therefore, we have to first of all visualize it. Sometimes, without visualizing it, you give the wrong interpretations, the wrong rulings on a particular issue. For example, if we look at what is known as suicide bombing, and some would call it missions of martyrdom. They would think that if you do this, if you blow yourself up, you're a martyr. And on the other side, there are scholars that would call him a person who committed suicide. Without visualizing how this takes place, you cannot give the correct fatwa. Because the most authentic opinion is that suicide bombing is suicide. Regardless of the benefits, who is the one who pushed the button? It is you. Who is the one who pulled the trigger? It is you. So you are actually killing yourself. And in so many incidents and cases, a person kills himself without killing anyone else, or kills indiscriminately, kills children, women, and in Islam we're obliged and we're instructed not to kill the elderly, women, or children, only those who fight us, only warriors. So by doing this, you're actually not killing others, you're killing yourself, you're committing suicide, and you're going against Islam. When a scholar gives a fatwa, if he does not look into these aspects, he would give the wrong fatwa. And that is why visualizing it is very important. After you visualize something, then you move on to categorize it, and you go to the scholar of Islam and ask him about what category does this incident fall under. And the scholar has to follow a process. First of all, he visualizes it, and then he goes on to see, does it fall under A, evidence from the Qur'an, Sunnah, or the consensus of scholars? For example, we gave that last time we met, example of electrocution. This falls under a dead animal, which was not
Electrocuting the animal, yes.
Yes.
To execute them.
We as Muslims cannot eat an animal unless it is slaughtered Islamically by a Jew, Christian, or Muslim, and it has to be slaughtered. So if it was killed before being slaughtered, this is considered to be a dead animal. Whether it was killed because it fell from a mountain, or it was hit on the head, or it was electrocuted, or it was suffocated, or whatever, it's still a dead meat.
So even though there's no direct ruling from the Qur'an or Sunnah that says if you electrocute an animal to slaughter it, this is not considered lawful slaughtering, we can devise, or the scholars can devise by the evidence that if an animal dies by any other means other than slaughtering, it's considered dead meat. So there is a direct ruling.
Exactly. This is exactly true. We can give another example for example, wearing a wig. In Islam, the Prophet told us about ﷺ, that it is forbidden for a woman to connect false hair to her own hair. But this is not connecting false hair. This is putting a whole thing on top of your head that looks like hair. So does it take the same ruling? The answer is yes, because it falls under the same evidence. And you can also talk about visualizing or sighting the moon. Because nowadays we have people saying that, can we calculate where the moon is going to appear and when the moon is going, the crescent is going to be born, instead of just visualizing it and sighting it. And the Prophet ﷺ clearly said that you have to fast once you sight it, and you have to break your fast, which is Eid, once you sight it. So this is something that was spoken for. The Prophet ﷺ already had drawn the line for us in this aspect.
But regarding contemporary issues, since there's something that fell upon the Muslims, as you explained for us in the last episode, Barakallahu Feekum, it's not something that we can directly take from the Qur'an or Sunnah, and something that the scholars really have to derive. So we mentioned from those issues that they have to look at, first they have to see it from an overall point of view, and they have to look at the experts for said field, what they explain. So they have to have knowledge of what they're talking about. Then we discussed briefly of how to categorize. So how would they categorize this?
Well, actually, as I said, categorizing it falls under 4 main branches. First of all, they would categorize it if there's a verse of the Qur'an, Sunnah, or the consensus that falls under it.
Okay.
If not, they go to type B, which is looking at an incident that took place before, which was a nazila at the time, and scholars gave fatwa on, and nowadays this incident that we have falls under the same fatwa, or is similar to it. For example, I give an example of an open buffet. Eat as much as you can. There isn't anything that covers this, but if you look in the books of fiqh, you would find that scholars gave an example of the public baths. If the consumption of water in public baths differ from one person to the other, so if someone with like a 450 pounds takes a bath, is different than someone who takes who weighs 150 pounds. So the consumption of water, of soap, of whatever is different, yet the price is the same. And likewise in open buffet, they make an average, and people might eat a lot and others might not, yet the price is the same. So the variation of size and the consumption is negligible, as scholars say.